Good evening and welcome to our comprehensive global news roundup. I'm bringing you the essential stories shaping our world, from the corridors of power in Washington to the bustling financial centers of Asia and beyond. We go beyond the headlines to bring you the context and in-depth analysis you need. Tonight, tensions are high as the National Guard is deployed across Washington, D.C. amid heightened security concerns. Also, the Pentagon unveils a groundbreaking new defense strategy aimed at modernizing the military. On the world stage, global markets are on a knife's edge following a surprise central bank decision. Plus, a revolutionary breakthrough in artificial intelligence that promises to reshape our daily lives. And later we'll bring you an inspiring story of community resilience in the face of adversity. We have a packed show for you, so let's dive right in. We begin tonight in the nation's capital, where 800 National Guard troops are now patrolling the streets. President Donald Trump authorized the deployment, citing what he calls a dangerous crime wave after a reported spike in carjackings and robberies. During the first night of this heightened security posture, officials confirmed that 23 arrests were made and multiple illegal firearms were seized. However, the deployment is facing stiff opposition. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has called the move an overreach, stating that local law enforcement is capable of handling the situation. Critics argue the deployment is less about public safety and more about political posturing, calling it an unnecessary militarization of the city. Turning to national security, the Pentagon is moving forward with its ambitious Golden Dome project, a next-generation 4-layer missile defense system. The price tag is a staggering $175 billion. Military officials say this comprehensive shield will integrate ground-based interceptors, naval assets, and revolutionary high-powered lasers to neutralize missiles at different stages of their flight. Proponents argue it's a necessary investment in an increasingly volatile world. However, the project is not without its critics. Beyond the astronomical cost, some defense analysts question the technological feasibility of the laser systems and warn that it could trigger a new arms race with global adversaries. On the economic front, there's growing pressure on the Federal Reserve. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is now publicly calling for a half-point interest rate cut, pointing to the latest figures showing inflation cooling to 2.7% as justification for stimulating growth. This comes as U.S. tariffs on imported goods have surged to an average of 18.6%, the highest level in nearly a century. While economists say the broad consumer impact has been mild so far, industries reliant on foreign components like auto manufacturing are beginning to feel the strain. The concern is that sustained high tariffs could eventually translate to higher prices for consumers, complicating the Fed's decision. And in Atlanta, investigators are still working to determine a motive in last week's tragic shooting outside the CDC headquarters. The gunman killed veteran law enforcement officer Sergeant Michael Chen before being killed in a confrontation at a nearby pharmacy. A memorial for Sergeant Chen is planned for this weekend. In a major development in the fight against transnational crime, Mexico has extradited 26 senior cartel members to the United States. The group includes high-ranking figures from the Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation cartels. They will face charges including drug trafficking and murder in what U.S. officials are calling a landmark law enforcement collaboration. All eyes are on Anchorage, Alaska, where President Trump and Vladimir Putin are set to meet August 15th. The agenda: ending the war in Ukraine. Reports suggest territorial concessions may be discussed, something Ukrainian President Zelensky has strongly rejected. This high-stakes summit has drawn intense scrutiny from NATO allies, who fear a peace deal could be brokered at Ukraine's expense. The choice of this neutral city highlights the delicate diplomacy at play. Global stock markets are climbing on rate cut expectations. The S&P 500, Nasdaq, and London's FTSE all opened higher, with investors hopeful central banks will act to stimulate growth. However, this optimism is not shared everywhere. In Asia, property giant Evergrande faces possible delisting from Hong Kong's exchange. This is another major blow to China's struggling real estate sector, raising serious questions about financial stability in the world's second-largest economy. Europe swelters through its fourth major heatwave, with UK temperatures topping 30 degrees Celsius. The situation is more severe on the continent, where red alerts are active in Spain and Italy as temperatures soar past 40 degrees. This extreme heat poses significant health risks and has put firefighters on high alert for wildfires. These recurring events highlight the growing impacts of climate change, straining emergency services and threatening communities. August 12th marked World Elephant Day, highlighting urgent conservation needs as elephants face poaching and habitat loss. Despite a global ban, the illegal ivory trade continues to fuel poaching while human development encroaches on their habitats. Conservation groups are using the day to launch new campaigns and call for stronger international cooperation, warning that without concerted global action, the future for these majestic creatures remains uncertain. To recap, Washington sees unprecedented federal deployment, a $175 billion defense project moves forward, and diplomatic tensions rise ahead of the Trump-Putin summit. That's today's headlines. Subscribe and turn on notifications for your daily news roundup. I'll see you tomorrow with more top stories from around the world.